Hello and welcome back to another episode of That Tribute Band Show. I am your host, Eddie Payne, and today we are sitting down with the STP Tribute Loungefly. How's it going, guys?
Hey, Eddie. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourselves?
Good, man. Doing awesome. Enjoying July 4th weekend.
Yeah, it's very hot outside right now.
That's why I'm in now. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. So tell me a little bit about where you guys are from and what instruments you play.
Sure. So we're a band based out of the Philadelphia area. A few of the guys are from right outside of Philly. The other guys from, outside of Philly on the PA side, outside of Philly on the South Jersey side as well. So my name's Ira, and I'm the drummer.
I'm Brian. I sing. And our guitarist, his name is Scott. He's not here. And Richard is our bass player.
Supposedly going to be here, Eddie, at some point, but
we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some of your influences?
You know, outside of Stone Pilots, who I still listen to just about every single day. Yeah. Even though we've been performing for 5 years. Probably a lot of the that were popular around the same time, like Alice in Chains. That certainly comes to mind. Nirvana. What do you think, Ira?
Well, for me, I grew up doing the hair metal thing, Eddie. I'm a couple of years older than Brian, so just those like 5 years, I was a hair metal dude in the '80s, and had the beautiful thing that came down to my waist, and it was glorious. And I grew up doing that thing, and that influenced me to be bit of a hitter, a bit of a hard hitter, a bit of a real kind of like forceful kind of a drummer. But then the '90s came around, and the first thing that struck me really was Alice in Chains, and I went, whoa, because that was kind of the metal side of the '90s, Yeah. And so since I was a metalhead, that kind of struck me first and went, whoa, I like this. I like the production. I like the heaviness of it all. And that just kind of turned me more into like a '90s dude. But I love it all. But I think that's early on where my influences came from.
Right on. Yeah, Jerry Cantrell had that old school, just Gibson Marshall sound, that classic metal sound. And
then like it was all this metal stuff, and then all of a sudden there were these blues riffs inside of it, and it was just badass. Yeah,
absolutely. So where all do you guys travel to as far as touring? Do you stay on the East Coast? Do you go west? Do you go all over?
We pretty much play. It looks like our run is kind of like we do like a 9-state run. It seems everything from about as far south as Virginia, as far west as like West Virginia and Ohio, up to New York and Pennsylvania and New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland. So we have kind of this nice 9-state run that keeps us going. We look for this kind of sweet spot of 18, 20 shows a year. That's kind of like what our workload and our real life can handle. And it just works pretty well for us. Not that we don't want to play anywhere else. If it's a good show and people want it, we're ready to go.
Cool. So you drive to all those gigs?
Yeah, we have a van.
Everybody piles up in the van and does it old school, instruments and all?
Listen, if you know STP at all, then you'll know why our van is named Silver Gun Super Van. Okay? So She's a pretty sight to look at. She's silver, and Silver Gun Super Van gets us where we want to go with everything inside, and we love it. We're in a pretty fortunate spot, Eddie, that the four of us really like each other. Yeah. Because that's not always the case, as you know, right, as a musician. So when we pile in the van, it's actually we look forward to that as much as being on stage with each other.
So have you ever met anyone from the band, or had any feedback from any of the people in the band at all?
What's that, Brian? Go ahead.
Oh, I just said not yet.
Not yet, Eddie.
You think sooner or later they would take notice, but
we each have this little pipe dream, right? There's just this unfortunate thing that happens where somebody gets a cramp and they can't play for 6 weeks, and they'll be fine, but they just need a fill in, and so they just give us a shout about it, and and we just do this little 6 week fill in, but. No, I don't think anybody's ever seen what we do, but I think we're pretty proud of the fact that it's a pretty almost identical replication of what they do sound-wise in a way, and we also want you to kind of give us a quick glance and go, whoa, it kind of looks like that a little bit too, right? No wigs, no nothing like that, but we have that absolute vibe on stage, especially Brian, who brings a Weiland out, and from a production perspective, absolutely as authentic as it gets. And so if we can get the music to them, we'd love them to hear it, because it's really kind of a tribute to that for sure.
Gotcha. So do you guys dip into like the Velvet Revolver stuff as well, or do you just strictly stick to STP?
Just STP. I think they had enough hits that, depending on the length of the show, I mean, you could easily play 14 songs that everybody's familiar with. And when we get the opportunity to play a 2-hour show, where we usually wind up playing most of their albums and then songs from some of their other albums.
Yeah, Eddie, when you come to a show of ours, we want it to be. So it's an STP concert, right? Is the way we look at it. We also tour with this package called 90s Rock Fest, which is a pretty awesome 3-hour experience of us, along with a band called Best of Foo that does a Foo Fighters tribute, and a band called Hashpipe that does Weezer. And we look at it like a concert, right? That's the experience that you want. There's beach balls flying around,
right?
Right. There's sing-alongs. There's the energy of that. So if a Velvet Revolver song was in there, which, by the way, awesome band, right? Like, yeah. I mean, because I told you I was an 80s guy, so give me some Slash all day, every day, right?
Yeah.
But if we threw a Velvet Revolver song in there, then all of a sudden it's not an STP concert, and that's what we do. We do concerts, and we pride ourselves on that the experience walking away is that. And I will tell you, really, more than anything, it's our fans that told us, that said, hey, that's one of the best concerts we've ever been to, or been to in a while. And we went, holy shit, that's how people feel about it. Like, yeah. That's what we wanted. We wanted right. people to say it was a concert. It wasn't like just like a little club thing or a bar thing, and that's cool. But we just want this experience to be a little different.
So it sounds like your audience, you guys are well received from your audience in other venues. Then
we are, and it blows us away every time. Really, I mean, we're grateful for it. But we also put a lot of work in. Like, we expect that of ourselves in a really, really big way. There's no shenanigans. If it ain't right, we won't put it on stage yet until it's right. And when I mean right, I mean sounding like STP. And that's the feedback we get resoundingly, and it fuels us for the next thing, right? So we take it that seriously. It's not, we're not going to put something up that's good. We're going to put something up that's right.
Right on. So what do you think the biggest crowd is that you've played to, and have you ever sold out a venue?
Well, I guess the answer to that is both the same thing, right? We played in front of 600 people at Mickey's Black Box, which is an amazing venue. It's in a little town called Lidditz, Pennsylvania, in central Pennsylvania. Which was a sellout, and at the same time the biggest crowd we've ever played in front of.
Awesome.
But we have some stuff coming up at some bigger venues, and we hope that means more, right? Because that's just more energy, man, is all that is, and it's a real give and take experience. So we're proud of that, and we'll keep on pushing.
There seems to be a lot of not necessarily competition, but there's a lot of different tribute bands of the same act. Do you guys experience any of like not being able to get into the venues that you want to play at because they are already exclusive to another tribute, STP tribute?
No. Interestingly enough, most of what we do is our 90s Rock Fest package. We probably do, like I said, that 18, 20 shows we play a year, probably 14, 16 of those are with 90s Rock Fest, and the other 2 or 4 are by ourselves. If we've ever had an issue with a venue, it's been more that they've had another Foo Fighters tribute than they've had an STP tribute,
right,
which is interesting. And Hashpipe, that is a band that we just threw onto the bill about 4 or 5 months ago, and that's opened up some new doors for us. And I think, you know what, I mean, there's kind of enough to go around, and I think we have a really strong reputation, so and a strong product, so all the rest of it, Eddie, it doesn't matter if the product's not good. So I think the proof is in the pudding, and I always say, if you're going to check out a band on their Facebook page or whatever, and either you can't find a video or you're finding clips that are about this long,
yeah,
what happened in the rest of the song, right? We have no problem throwing up full clips from a show, because we pride ourselves on execution, and you're able to listen front to back and hear it done properly. So far, no issues.
Cool.
Yeah.
So going back to one of the other topics we were talking about a minute ago, what do you think it takes to make a great tribute band?
It's a good question.
Yeah, Brian?
I think it takes 4 people who can really not only sound alike. I mean, especially, I guess it depends on what band you're talking about. But with STP, the more authentic you can actually look alike, act, perform in every sense of the word. I think what really can set one apart from another. Every little detail, every little thing you do, including wearing certain clothes or anything that reminds the crowd of what it would have been like to see that band live. And in our case, Scott Weiland, there's definitely a lot of people who come up after the show, and it reminds them of when they saw him live before at a fraction of the price. But you have to have all members just fully capable, and so with a lot of bands we see and bands that we've become friends with, you certainly get the sound experience, but you don't get much of a look-alike experience. And so for us, we try to give the crowd everything we can give them, and I think they appreciate it. Afterwards. We spend time afterwards talking to the people who see us, and anyone who's just a big fan of Stone Temple Pilots, usually they love what they saw, and they the next show.
I think the word details you used, Brian, was important, Eddie.
Yeah.
The details are extremely important, and even if we play a song really well one night, we take our time during our rides to and from show. We pick it apart, we put it back together, and we say, hey, you know what? There's this thing in there. There's this little part. Not that we got maybe not we didn't get something wrong, but there was a part in there that we need to put in. There's something on a record that maybe wasn't in the song or whatever it was, and we continue to keep kind of honing down exactly what they sounded like. And from a detail perspective, that's really important. And you know what? From an execution perspective, it's really important. So Brian said that the band's been together about 5 years, but here was the journey. The band was together for 2 years with a completely different lineup. It was me and Brian and 3 other guys. Then the pandemic hit, and we had this year where nothing was going on. Nobody was doing anything. And Brian and I took the opportunity. We didn't really think the product was good enough. Brian and I took the opportunity to look at the other 3 guys and make changes. So we moved on from those 3 guys, got 2 new guys. This band that you see right now, we've been together a little over 2 years. This is Loungefly. It's a completely different product than it was, and it's the right product that we wanted to put on stage. And the difference has made all the difference. The difference has been the kind of venues we were playing before to the kind of venues we're playing now, because the product is so much better and so much different. The details are better and different. It put us in a different place in where we're able to play, how we're able to execute, and move on. You know, we're friends with guys in the band 10. If you've heard of the band 10, that does Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
And they've been around for over 20 years, and they're pretty dang amazing. And one of the guys, the bass player, Todd, said to me one night after a show, we played with them. He said, "Hey man, people go to see a good tribute band once, you know, maybe twice. They go to see a great tribute band over and over again." And it made us realize, not that we weren't ever striving for anything more, but it made us realize what we needed to put into this thing to be that band, because that's who we wanted to be and the quest that we're on.
Right.
So it's every detail is important.
I agree. Detail, you have to pay really good attention to detail to make it come together, like you said.
100%, man. Yeah, you know.
Which song is your favorite to play when you guys play these big shows?
Another good question. I don't know. I think sometimes when we add a song that we haven't done before is always kind of fun. And then there's certainly the songs that are fun every time, like Plush, because you get such a tremendous crowd participation. And that is just, you know, lifts us all up and gives us energy. So I don't know. Ira, what's your favorite?
To just play, to friggin' jam out to, I think I always go back to Piece of Pie. It's a deep cut, you know, from the first record, but it's, you know, the cojones on that song are about that big, you know,
yeah.
And it's just full on as metal as they got. It's got an insane, Eddie, you're a drummer, you know?
Yeah.
It's got this insane groove. It's heavy. It's John Bonham. It's metal. So it's probably, boil it all down, probably my favorite to play for sure.
Cool.
And I need to answer for
yes.
Rich, who I thought was hopping on.
Okay.
Yeah.
If he were here, I think he would tell you that his favorite to play is No Memory Sin, which is another deep cut. Well, there are 2 songs. One's kind of like this beautiful guitar intro, and then all of a sudden it becomes this thick, heavy groove, and some bass stuff in there is insane. And I need to give a shout out to my man Rich, because I am a fortunate dude that I get to play drums with somebody that talented and that good. It allows me to just lay things down and look over and go, my man's got it. So I'm going to give the shout out for him to tell you that's what he loves playing on stage the most.
So which out of those songs, whether it be the deep cuts or the big radio hits, which ones do you think get the best crowd response?
We're freaked out, Eddie, I think, right, Brian? Like every time, like Brian said, Plush, we do this breakdown in the middle with a sing-along, and it's really cool to see, you know, 500 people, well, here, 500 people at the top of their lungs, and that's really cool. Or you whip out Interstate Love Song and you get that, or people singing along.
I think Big Bang Baby, a lot of people get it. That's a good one. And then Sex Type Thing definitely gets people up out of their chair.
How about this though, Bri? I think you know what gets everybody yelling every time is Tripping on a Hole in a Paper Heart. They are so loud during that song. That's the energy stuff. I play for the give back of energy from the crowd. So that's why I love playing those songs. But like from a Ira playing the drums thing, I probably love some of the deeper cuts a bit more. Like we don't play it a lot, but when we got a little bit more time, we play a song like Where the River Goes, which like I just close my eyes and I just want to say, Ira, bring your John Bonham as best you can, because it's all this thick stuff with some uptime stuff. But just the crowd gives you so much during the sing-alongs that it's awesome.
Right. You had mentioned earlier about the Foo Fighters tribute and the Weezer tribute. Are there any other tribute bands that you guys are a fan of or that you're into?
Sure. I mean,
there's a lot of them in our area alone.
Yeah. There's 10, which I talked about. Those are friends of ours that are just phenomenal at what they do. We also have a couple other friends in a Pearl Jam band called the Leadbetters that are great. There's a band up here also called Super Unknown that these dudes channel Soundgarden like you've never heard before. They're insane. There's just some other great bands too. Like there's a band called Kick. They do In Excess that are insane. We have really close friends in what I think we would probably consider the best Ozzy tribute around. And
Land of Oz, right?
Land of Oz. Our buddy Steve Desco is, Eddie, he's Ozzy. He looks like him. He sounds like him. He's great. The musicians are top notch. They're good friends of ours, and they're insane. And I know I'm missing people, but there's some of the folks that I look at and I go, they're doing it the right way for sure.
Have you ever played any gigs with any national acts outside the tribute band genre?
No, but that sounds okay. If any band, Eddie, wants Stone Temple Pilots to open for them, we could give that to a crowd.
Right.
I think, right, Brian? Yeah. Let's do that. Not yet, I'll say. Yeah.
Do you have any other musical projects that you're into when you're not doing STP stuff?
Not right now. Not for me. We talk about it a lot. We talk about some other stuff, but life's pretty busy with this and with regular life, so not for me right now.
I play around on a site called Band Hug. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it has an internal DAW, and you can do covers with people from all over the world. So occasionally I'll sing a couple songs on, but it's kind of fun for me. It's not STP stuff. But outside of what we do, I don't have time for myself. I mean, we definitely rehearse a few for every show, and have lives and. So.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to do some other cool virtual recording stuff for actually some larger projects. That I don't know if my name's on some of that stuff, so I'm not gonna kind of go. But like project stuff, no, not right now.
Okay. I'm actually in I'm in 3 tribute bands currently, but it's like things are scattered out, so it's like I don't cram stuff, and I try not to do double headers like in the same weekend, mainly with 2 separate bands, but definitely not the same band. It's just too much to do.
So what else besides Nirvana?
I'm actually in an AC/DC tribute, which that's one of my bigger tributes, and then I do an 80s tribute, kind of like alternative, new wave pop alternative stuff, and that's probably the band that the 80s band is the one that gets the most gigs, that does the most locally, just because it's more of a variety. There's a few venues around here that we play the AC/DC stuff and as well as the Nirvana stuff, but there's not too many venues, and you don't want to get burnt out in the same area. That's why we're trying to branch out. The AC/DC tribute travels regionally, statewide, and we've pretty much almost hit all 4 corners of the state.
Nice.
One time or another. So we're starting to branch out.
What's the band?
For Those About to Rock.
Okay. Nice. And hey, for your 80s band, man, I had the amazing experience last Saturday night to see one of my favorite bands of all time in Philly, which is The Cure.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if you do any Cure, but man, they brought it. It was beautiful. You know what I mean? Like it was just perfect and beautiful. Although they didn't play my favorite Cure song, which was a huge hit of theirs. I was a little freaked out by that, which was Fascination Street. But the concert was beautiful. They were perfect. Robert sounded as good as he's ever sounded.
I've heard he sounds really good right now.
It's amazing. And you know what? It's real music, dude. There was no shenanigans, no backing tracks going on. I mean, outside of the electronic kind of stuff that they do, it was music. It was great.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get out and see some of these gigs. I know Berlin is actually touring with, oh gosh, who are they touring with? Culture Club. And they're coming to DC in, it's either July or August. And the tickets, believe it or not, the tickets for that show were like $30 a piece.
Well, Robert Smith did the same thing. He said enough of this like Ticketmaster shenanigans kind of thing.
Right.
And enough of this whole like, the resellers buy everything and then jack everything. He put safeguard after safeguard after safeguard after safeguard. And you could get tickets to that show for $35 for some of the seats. And the t-shirts were $25.
Yeah.
Not the ones not in the parking lot, but the real branded Cure t-shirts were $25. Nobody does that. He really stood by his word on that for sure.
Yeah, I think it's some of these bands are getting back to the way it used to be as far as pricing on tickets. I mean, I remember going to like Motley Crue on the Dr. Feelgood tour was like $19 or something.
My first real show, my first concert was I went to see Barry Manilow with my parents. But after that, my first real rock concert was I saw Rush at the Philadelphia Spectrum when I was 12, and that was $12.50.
Yeah,
but it was amazing, and I was in the third row, by the way, like blown away like this for 3 hours, Eddie.
I bet.
Like. I stared at Neil for 3 hours.
Yeah, who wouldn't be in that close?
It was crazy.
For sure.
I thought he was an alien, man. Like, I don't understand the sounds. What is he doing? It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you guys do to prepare yourselves for a set when you walk out on stage or before you walk out on stage? You like give each other high fives? Do you do jumping jacks? You take shots? Do you do something cool like that?
We got a lot of routine. There? Let's start with. I do vocal warm ups, so I put headphones in, and mommy made me mash my M&Ms, all the normal vocal warm up thing, right? And then sometimes when I'm doing that, we'll be backstage and we'll actually go through a song or two just for fun. And then there's hug. I mean, there's always the hug.
So Brian's walking around with his headphones in, doing his vocal exercises. And if you didn't hear it because he was breaking up a little bit, "Mommy made me mash my M&Ms" is this thing. And he goes, note for note all the way up the scale and then all the way back down. And then he's got some other ones. And so always, we all, even though we're not hearing what's in his ears, we all just start singing along with him. And then ultimately, there's always an acoustic guitar around or two, and that turns into a bunch of sing-alongs. And then we do we certainly do a band hug and a high five. Now the shot is actually something we do on stage. So prior to Big Empty, which is one of I think one of the songs that we pull off like really well. Big Empty just always comes across really well. But there's prior to us playing, it's a time we give our guitar player just like kind of this 1 minute to just really give some like ethereal kind of vibes to the crowd on his guitar. And my bass player and I, we share a shot of Crown, and we invite the audience to do that with us. And ultimately they always do. And so that's just a thing we really look forward to. Like, it's got to be next to my kit. it's got to be next to his amp.
Yeah.
But backstage is fun, like especially when we're with 90s Rock Fest. There's 9 guys backstage for 90s Rock Fest in the bands, and there's acoustic guitars and drum practice pads, and it always just turns into a couple of jams and a lot of 80s jams going on back there. So yeah, for sure.
This kind of ties into what we kind of already talked about. What would you say to any up-and-coming tributes who are thinking of starting a tribute band?
Find a good drummer.
For sure.
Dude, you get away with some other stuff. You gotta have a drummer on point.
So Eddie, I think what he's saying is that I'm on my way out, and we're all in trouble. You know what I would say? I do think a drummer's a key to any band live. You know what I mean? You know that as a drummer, a rhythm section live is it. But I would tell the band, and I don't know if we have advice to give, but what's worked for us is pick what you want to do it well, take it seriously. You got to put a lot of hard work in, and just like pick your niche, right? Like you got to create need for yourself. You know what I mean, on a scene, and but then when people get there, you gotta they have to want to see you again. So it's got to be that kind of show. In the energy too, like yeah.
I think you really got to commit to it. You know, you really got to commit. You really got to study. You really have to watch videos. You really have to put yourself in mentally, knowing that there's always room for improvement. And you just got to keep working. You keep working at it. And I think that's some of the bands that we're familiar with that maybe didn't mention, some of don't have things that the original band. You know, if the original band, like when we got our start, we were a 5. We realized, well, Stone Temple Pilots, we're a band. So if you want authentic, you have to go for something like that. If the guitarist in the band, backup singer in the real band, then you need to find a guitarist to sing. That's just the way that I view it. I understand there can be some differences to that, and I think that's where you differentiate the sound-alikes from lookalikes. And so, you know, when you see these very popular bands out there, if they're a U2 tribute band, that singer looks like Bono. I mean, it's unmistakable. And so I think it takes time to really emulate somebody that you admire, but if you're willing to commit and put the time and effort in, you'll get there, and you just have to keep working at it.
It's never a finished product, for sure.
I can't tell you, it's very challenging, me being in a AC/DC tribute band, to play the part of Phil Rudd, how much restraint you have to not overplay a song. I mean, it's like Back in Black and Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution are 2 of the hardest songs to play, just because it's so simple and there's not a whole lot going on. But if you try to do too much, it doesn't sound anything like it should.
No, I totally agree, man. And you know what, though? But it doesn't work either. That simplicity only works when the groove is thick and nasty, and people you can dance to it. You know what I mean? And so if you're doing too much, it's not right. If you're doing it and then it's not thick and groovy, it's still not right. So that's what makes it so hard, man. So if you're laying that stuff down, you're doing it right, for sure.
Yep. Absolutely. I do have one question left that I'd like to ask you guys. Is there anything that you want to say to your fans watching right now?
I would say we appreciate you. You've been really great to us, and you make us continue to want to do it, to be as good as we can be for you. For any of our fans that haven't seen us yet, I would say come and see us, right? And we appreciate your support. But the best support you can provide to any live band, Eddie, as you know, is going to see it, right? That keeps the venues open. That keeps the bands being able to do it. And I will assure you that we won't disappoint, that you will see what you want to see and hear what you want to hear when you come see us. But we appreciate all the support, and everybody's been really kind and wonderful to us.
And we will put the links in the video description down below. So when you guys see the video, you can check these guys out. Are there any like show dates coming up that you guys want to spit out there?
So we've got a run come up, a great summer run. Let me not say a really cool summer run. We've got July 28th at Rams Head Live in what's that?
Okay, yeah.
July 28th at Rams Head Live in Baltimore. Rams Head Live is a real deal concert venue. Holds about 1,500 people, and we are fortunate to be on a stage that really, really awesome people that we admire have been on many times. And so we played there last summer, opening for 10, but this time we're bringing a 90s rock fest. So it's us, Best of Foo, and Hash Pipe, and that's July 28th. August 5th, we'll be in Rochester at a place called Rochester Beer Park, which is just like some cool outdoor party, which is amazing. And then August 11th finishes up our summer, which is right here in Philadelphia at World Cafe Live, which is an amazing venue right near 30th Street Station. So if you're from the Philadelphia area, you'll know that it's easy to get to. It's a safe place to be with good parking. World Cafe Live is an amazing venue. That's 90s Rock Fest on August 11th as well.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys sometime soon, I hope. Loungefly. Go ahead.
Sorry, Eddie. We will be back in Virginia soon, in your neck of the woods, very soon. I don't have a date yet, but we played the Canal Club March 8th, Feb. We played March, the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And we've already agreed to come back. We just got to work out the date with them. So we'll be back in your neck of the woods sometime soon, Eddie, and I hope we get to meet for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like a fun time. Loungefly, the STP Tribute. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I want to talk to you guys off camera real quick, but make sure you check these guys out. All the links will be down in the description. Thanks for joining us on this episode of That Tribute Band Show. We'll see you in the next episode, and have a good one.
Thanks, Ed.